Hey, here you are at Menacing MTG, and I've got this wild kind of fun deck. It's total jank. It's historic, but it is super cool. I like it a lot. Discovered Yahenni, Undying Partisan, and I committed to kind of building a deck around it. It doesn't require it, I built a deck before with Hateful Eidelon, which this has that core concept within it. Um, it's a good card draw mechanism. We have a bunch of enchantments that can take out creatures and that can be available to us again with the 3 Lurrus in hand. It just makes the dead weight and the Myers Grasp available to us again and again. In addition to other small creatures like Festering Mummy, the Eidolon, Order of Midnight, Priest of Forgotten Gods, Reassembling Skeleton, etc. So, this is a very fun deck to play. Of course, it's most effective against creature decks and creature decks that don't have monstrous creatures. But it can cause all kinds of a ruckus. We can even take out big things. If take out the smaller creatures that lead to bigger creatures, like green decks, and make it harder for them to get the big creatures on. And then when they get one big creature on, we do have some ways of dealing with those creatures. Namely, we have the Priest of Forgotten Gods. We have 3 of these in here, so we can sack things and make them sack creatures, gain life, regenerate stuff. We do have 1 Order of Midnight in here, so we can bring something back that Lurrus wouldn't, or if we need something in a pinch that Lurrus would, but we don't have a Lurrus on the board, we can use Order of Midnight to do so. And it also is a flyer, so that's great. And this Order of Midnight only is a 2 cost, so you can regenerate it. You can only regenerate it as a creature, but it's a good thing. So let's just run through this deck. I'll give you the highlights, and then we'll stop on Yahenni and Drana for sure and explain what they do. So we have these 2 deadweight enchantments. You can enchant a creature, it gives it -2/-2. So it makes scary creatures less scary, and eventually you can probably take them out with any luck. When the creature does die, if you have Eidolon on the board and you have an aura attached to it, deadweight or Myers Grasp specifically, then you get to draw a card. So we have 4 Festering Mummies, and I have this in a paper deck, kind of a Wither deck. And this is a cool card. It's great against, like rats. I just played this morning. I played a deck against rats, and Lurrus just totally undid them. Because you block a rat with this, it kills it. Then you take the -1/-1 counter and put it on another rat. It kills it. You regenerate it. You can sack them, kill rats. It's insane. So cool card to have in here. Eidolon, what that does. It also has lifelink, and it's 1/2, slightly more resilient. This is a great deck, against goblins. The red Cavalcade deck. A lot of those really. Even I just recently beat a mono white deck, with the life gain, and Johnny's Pride Mate. Really good against those kind of decks. So then we have 2 Village Rites in here just when we need to get some land out and we don't have Priest on the board or whatever. So 2 of those. Heartless Act, we have 1 in here. We have a little bit of removal in here, not much. Planeswalkers are going to cause a major problem for us with this deck. So Super Friends decks, those things are just going to wipe us out if we can't get right on them. So then we have, of course, the 4 Myers Grasp, -3/-3 enchantment, the 1 Order of Midnight, the 3 Priest of Forgotten Gods. So let's see, 4 Reassembling Skeletons. We just have all this stuff that can keep coming back and back on the board. We can sack it, we can block with them, and so on. One Obnixilis Cruelty. This is a great card to have on board. You have something, say it's a little bit of defense against a graveyard deck, so you get to exile something here. So you could drop a dead weight on something, a 5/5 like a Love Struck Beast. You put the dead weight on it, then you put Obnixilis and ditch it. I don't know how well this would do against the Gruul meta deck with the Lovestruck Beast and whatnot. That's just such a brutal deck. But this holds its own for this total janky deck. We do have one Rotting Regisaur, and in this deck, it's not too painful to have to discard a card, because you have 3 Lurrus in the deck, and you have the Hateful Eidelon, and you have Order of Midnight. You have, I think, enough in reassembling skeletons. You have enough returnage here in this deck that you can afford to have one of these in here, and it's a big guy that can make things scary for an opponent that's losing their stuff at a regular clip. For Woe Striders, again, this contributes to the whole sacking things. As village rights, take out that goat token, block with the goat token, use priest to sack the goat token, etc., etc. Woe Strider won't regenerate. It's too big. It's a 3-drop, as is Rotting Regisaur. Won't regenerate with Lurrus, but it's a good, important card in this deck. Gives you that, and you can also do some scry, and it also escapes back as a 5/4 creature. So another kind of sturdy creature to have on board. So that brings us to Yahenni, Undying Partisan. Okay, this is a 3-drop legendary creature that has haste. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Yahenni. Sacrifice another creature, and Yahenni gains indestructible until end of turn. So the goal is that Yahenni just gets big, and they just can't deal with him and get rid of him. And he's coming in and whacking you. So that's one of the goals here, is to get Yahenni on the board and get him big and just pummel with him. Okay, so then the 3 Lurrus, you get to return 2-drop or less permanents, 1 every turn you can play with Lurrus on the board. Got 1 extinction event. I've said this many times. If you looked at my mono black decks, this is a safety valve. You really don't want to have to use this. The goal is to not use it, but I have 1 in there just in case things go sideways and you get this, it can save you. 1 Clackbridge Troll, kind of similar to Woe Strider, in that you generate these goat tokens, and you give them to the opponent, and they have to sack a creature every turn, or Clackbridge Troll is free to come in and attack. If they do just sack a creature, then you gain 3 life and draw a card. Another little card draw engine here, and a scary 8/8 trample creature with haste. That's a 5-drop. And the other 5-drop in here is the Drana, the Last Blood Chief, a cool card, legendary, flying 4/4. When Drana attacks, defending player chooses a non-legendary creature card in your graveyard, which there's going to be many of most of the time. By the time you see this thing, you return that card to the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. The creature is a vampire in addition to other types. So yet another small way to bring things from your graveyard back, and this does it to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. So that could they're not going to. Well, Lurrus is legendary, so you can't get him back, but you can't get Yahenni back, but you can get all these other things they choose. So, but hey, any creature you can get brought back to the battlefield is a good thing. Cool card. All right, so 2 Castle Lochthwain for card draw. So I do think we have enough card draw in here by virtue of the few items that do that. But don't forget that we have an immense amount of returning from the graveyard going on here. So something that exiles the graveyard could be tricky, although we're bringing stuff back so quickly that it probably wouldn't be devastating. And then 19 swamps. You could probably go down to 18 swamps and get by and throw in another dead weight in here. That would be great. Only having 6 of these enchantments is a little light for the Eidolon. You could go with 3 Eidolon and add a dead weight. There's a few little tweaks. This is a good balance, I think. It's been very fun to play. So without further ado, we'll play some games. Please subscribe if you haven't, and let me know if there's anything you'd like to see me build. I do like these Jank decks. I don't build a ton of them because I don't think they're as popular as some others, but this is a funky deck with lots of different things. This definitely fits the mold of multiple avenues to victory philosophy that I often incorporate into decks. So hope you enjoy it. Okay, here we are. Opening hand. The opponent goes first, which I don't like at all, but we have good tools here. I wouldn't mind getting one of my enchantments, Mire's Grasp or Dead Weight. But decent hand. We can sack something out with Village Rites. This should mobilize us. Get that mummy right on the board here. You know, typically these 1/1s, 1/2s, people don't like to spend their kill spells on them. You can see that this is going to cause trouble for the opponent. I would love to see also a Lurrus, but we're going to need more land before anything else here. At any point I could go ahead and whack this with Village Rites and put the -1 counter on something. I'd like to see a Lurrus before I do something like that. No attacks, we want to keep them at bay. Okay. That will eat at us, for sure. And there's Lurrus, so now I think the time is ripe to... We do need land, but I think we're going to... well, I think I'll go ahead and use the Mire's Grasp here. Take one of these off. Gets us a card draw, which is beautiful. I think now's the time. We'll go ahead and ditch the mummy. Get some card draw, and they can see what's happening here. Even though they didn't get a look at Lurrus, they know what's going on. I'd be able to put a -1 on that creature. Eidolon would be able to come in. I'd be able to bring on Lurrus next turn, possibly get a land, and be able to bring something else on. So yeah, cool. Okay, here we are. Decent looking hand. Opponent got to go first. Thriving Heath comes on. We'll toss a mummy up. Really like this hand because I can bring the skeleton on. I think what I'll do next actually is bring the priest on. Then next turn I can sack the mummy and the skeleton, and yeah, we're actually just going to attack here with the mummy. They will not block because they got a flyer we can't block anyway. Okay, 2 tokens. That's bad news for us. That doesn't work that well for us, but we do have this, and we are going to go right ahead and get rid of that flyer. Sack these, and you'll see what happens here. They'll sack a token, and then we'll get to kill the flyer with the mummy. It won't go in that order, but so that's awesome. You're getting to see these mechanisms very early in the game here. Okay, so we'll bring the skeleton back on here, and we'll be primed to. And the mummy were primed for next turn to sack again. They've got a major problem here. And what I will be able to do this time is, well, that's a problem. That's a big coup for them with the vampire. No blocks. Well, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to block, because I can bring Lurrus on next turn, then bring him back. We'll get rid of that. Okay, this is perfect, really. We bring a Lurrus up. Have another if we lose him. We can bring a mummy up. Perfect. Now what we can do is sack them. This is lovely. We get it rolling here. And we want this Legion Lieutenant out of here. And this is a beautiful thing. So we get a dead weight. We're going to bring the skeleton back, and we'll let him come in with the Gifted Aetherborn. See what he brings. Okay, Icon, that's good. So they're going to go Vampire. Yeah. No block. Okay, so now we will be able to remove him because we'll bring on a mummy. We'll drop a dead weight on him. We will sack. Jeez, I'm not going to sack. I'm going to cancel here. What I'm going to do is come in with these two. Okay, going to end the turn. Okay, and now we're going to sack. Well, I think what I'm going to do is wait for him to resolve and choose what he wants to do with this Planeswalker. He could bring something back. Okay. This works just fine. So we'll go ahead and do our routine here. They're going to have to sack a creature. Pretty sure that's going to be the Lieutenant, but I'm going to give them incentive to do that more so. Okay, that's really excellent news. So we'll get the skeleton back, and we have the Clackbridge Troll to play next turn. And now when they attack with the Aetherborn, if they do, they have limited return with only having 1 power. He's really much better as a blocker, but they come with him anyway. I think they're frustrated here. Now what I'm going to do is bring the Eidolon on, put up a land. I'm tempted to bring the mummy up. I am going to bring the mummy up, and I'm going to hold on to the troll for when we have bigger prey. We're going to go ahead and sack the mummy and the skeleton. And that's it, folks. So there's the deck. I hope you enjoy it. It's fun. Pretty easy to assemble, not a lot of heavy cards. I had to scrap to get 2 Yahennis because I've been building so many decks. I didn't have any rare wild card, so I only have 2 Yahennis in here. We didn't get to see it, sadly, but it is a great addition. It's kind of like brings the med game alive here, that and Drana. So hope you enjoyed. Take care.